Welcome in to Moving the Change, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Drell Hendricks. We've got a great interview today, a very special guest, the head coach of the Dillon Wildcats, Kelvin Roller. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing well, and we appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Change, and our website, movinchange.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Roller will be headed into his third season with the Wildcats. They went 13-1 last year and advanced to the lower state title game. Coach, let's just start there and talk about your coaching career for people who may not know about you. How did you get started into coaching, and how did you get to the head job there at Dillon?
Well, I worked as an assistant there at Coastal Carolina, actually as a student assistant, but I was a volunteer assistant before then at Marlboro County under Coach Boyd, and Coach Boyd brought me back to Marlboro County as an assistant and made me the offensive coordinator. And this is something that I always knew I wanted to do. I looked up to my coaches. I saw my coaches growing up as a player, and just seemed like they enjoyed themselves and enjoyed being around kids. And I've always been involved with sports and all that. So I knew I wanted to be a coach early on, but thankful for Coach Boyd of giving me the opportunity to be a head coach. I mean, to be an offensive coordinator, and and he let me go with it. So thankful to him for that. And then Coach Hayes offered me a job over at Dillon in 2011 as the offensive coordinator, and we had some tremendous success, and I had some opportunities to be a head coach at some other places throughout that time as an offensive coordinator at Dillon, but I waited my time at Dillon, and fortunate enough to get the head job when Coach Hayes retired.
Coach, let's talk about your staff. Did you make any changes in the offseason? Were you able to keep it intact? And if you don't mind, giving those guys a shout out. They're the unsung heroes of your program.
Oh, yeah, we've got a great staff. And, I've got several coaches on the staff that could be head coaches anywhere. But, Dillon's a good place to work if you're going to be a football coach. And so we're very fortunate to have the guys that we have coaching and the number of guys that we have. I hired Will Clark from Scotland County. Will's won a state championship as a head coach at Crest High School up in North Carolina, up in Shelby. He's a Scotland boy, but he's been an offensive coordinator. He's been a defensive coordinator. And like I said, he's been a head coach. Hired him on to be the defensive coordinator. Also hired John Parker. He's going to call our defense on the JV staff this year, but he was a varsity assistant at Scotland. I'm going to let Coach Jacob Shoemate call the offensive plays this year. This will be the first time that I think since probably 2007 that I won't call the offensive plays. So it'll be a little bit different for me. But I need to learn to kind of let him do some things and do what those coaches did for me, and what Coach Boyd and Coach Hayes did for me. They didn't get in my way as a coordinator. They let me call things, and I think I need to do that for him as well. But yeah, we got a great staff. Norman Quick coaches our offensive line, and he's been with me for a while here at Dillon. Coach Sam Grooms, I actually was one of his coaches over at Marlboro County. He came over from Scotland County with us. He's been with us a few years now, but he'll be coaching the inside linebackers for us on the varsity level this year. So yeah, you're exactly right. Those guys don't get enough credit, and just very, very fortunate to have the guys that we have coaching here at Dillon.
So, Coach, for folks who hadn't seen Dillon play the last couple of years, what kind of styles do you guys like to run on offense and defense? And what would you say kind of is your theme for your team on both sides of the ball?
Well, we're on offense, we're spread offense, and, we use 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 10 personnel, depending on what kind of defensive scheme that we're facing. But yeah, we concentrate on ourselves an awful lot because, lots of times you see teams play on film and you study them, and then you get out there on the game and Friday night and they're not doing anything that that you saw on film. So if you're not prepared for each and everything, and you don't really work on yourself, and if you're not able to attack people no matter what you see, and have a plan in that way, I think you could get in some trouble, because teams may play you just totally different than what they've played 2 weeks prior. So we concentrate on ourselves a lot to make sure that we're prepared no matter what we see. Defensively, we're a 3-4 and we're multiple. Coach Clark, he does a great job. Like I said, he's not old, but he's very experienced. And so I don't want to call him a young coach, but he's very experienced with his age. His age is young, but his coaching experience is not young. So, but yeah, he likes to bring some pressure but we'll base out of a 3-4.
Coach, in developing, yourself as a head coach, who are some influences that you look at, and also offensively, you've had to pick, I'm sure, from other people to kind of design your scheme and in your system?
Yeah, definitely coaching under Coach Boyd, I learned an awful lot, as a young coach, but I learned an awful lot of football in my time at Coastal Carolina, being around those guys, coaching at the college level. Got a chance to learn a lot more X's and O's and scheme stuff. And I'll be honest with you, coaching with the guys that I'm coaching with right now, we've had some excellent coaches over the years, and I've learned an awful lot from the guys that I'm coaching with, and but yeah, I've had an opportunity. Coastal really gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of coaches, to learn a lot from a lot of other coaches on our staff, and some of the coaches that we've worked against at the college level. And yeah, just learned a lot about dealing with people. With Coach Hayes. Coach Hayes is was very influential in just learning how to manage people, and learning how to work with others. And because this is a relationship business, whether you're working with other coaches or whether you're working with your kids and trying to get the most out of them. You have to have the ability to develop relationships with both groups, whether they're players or coaches. So I feel very fortunate in the people that I've learned from: Coach Bennett, David Bennett, Coach Boyd, and Coach Hayes. So,
Coach, you guys obviously have already gone through spring practice. You're through all the summer stuff, 7-on-7. What were you able to learn from your team throughout this summer?
This summer, I feel good about the playmakers that we have out at the skill positions. We've got some dynamic skill guys that we need to be able to get the ball to them out in space, and we've got a good first group with both lines of scrimmage, but we don't have any depth at the offensive line position or the defensive line position, and we've got some guys that we like, but they've never played varsity football. So the thing is, just to try to develop both lines of scrimmage, because no matter how dynamic you are out there at your skill positions, football's played on the line of scrimmage. And if you're not good up there, you're not going to be a very good football team. And we understand that. And so that will be the key, is to develop both of our lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Coach, I know it's the first week of practice, but you got to give us some names of those playmakers and stuff. Like, who are some contributors that we should be on the lookout for next year?
Well, Kamarion Singletary, he's been very dynamic for us, and he started for us last year. We call him Peanut, so he's Peanut. And then, you got Ramon Hamilton is working out there at receiver and safety. Zay Robertson's a young guy who's coming up from the JV team. He'll be a sophomore. He's been very, very good player for us, and showing great promise as a potential prospect one day if he continues to develop. Rique's a guy that's playing in the spot. I won't even try to pronounce Rique's last name. He's originally from Africa, so nice. I can't pronounce his last name. We call him, his name is Rique N. So his last name starts with N. So down is Rique N. But he's a great kid and is getting better and better and is just eager to be coached. Coach McLaurin and Coach Charlie Brown have done an excellent job with those skill guys out there, and just teaching them the fine details that it takes to be a good player. Lots of people think it's just go out there and run around and play, but there's a lot of detailed coaching that goes in with that. You got Jamarion Flings, played DB, had about 6 or 7 picks last year, and 4 or 5 of those were pick sixes. He also was a running back for us, so he'll have to do both, and he'll carry the ball, and he'll also play in the secondary. Zay Davis is a guy who's played, primarily safety for us, DB, but he's shown a lot of promise playing some receiver. Both of those, all those guys have been practicing offense and defense, trying to get our best players on the field, whether it be offense or defense, and not just have one platoon. So we, just some of those guys have done an excellent job.
Coach, most folks around the state obviously know about Josiah Thompson, your star offensive lineman there. What have you seen from him this summer? And then your other Josiah, the quarterback, Josiah Oxendine, another year older. What have you seen from his kind of progress over the summer as well?
Well, I'll start with Josiah Thompson. I can't say enough about him. He has just developed over the years. Coach Quick's done an excellent job of coaching him. He's in such good shape right now. He's gotten stronger. And that's the key for him, at the next level will determine, that will determine whether, how quickly he gets on the field will be, the amount of strength and the amount of girth he's able to put on here in the next year or so. But, he is just moving really, really well out there for a big guy. And that's the thing. I think he's put on some good weight, not fat weight, but he's putting on some muscle. But he's able to, he's just running so much better than he did the last few years out there when we're conditioning and just moving on the field. And he's just so easy to coach. He just goes at it. Whatever you tell him to work on, he goes at it hard. You can count on him. He's very responsible. And the same thing with Josiah Oxendine. Josiah's gotten so much better than he was last year. He's so much bigger, so much stronger. He's put on some strength in the weight room, with Coach Coleman. And I think that's enhanced his confidence level, his physical abilities, has gotten better because he's stronger, because he's bigger. But yeah, he's a lot better than he was last year at this point. And, we've got a lot of confidence in both of those guys.
Coach, at Dillon, the standard has been set. It's championship or bust. How is it managing those expectations within the community, the school? And then also, how difficult is it to, keep complacency out of your program with your coaches and players?
Well, that can be tough. And you're right. We always want to play in that final game, and that's our goal. But, last year being 13-1 and playing the schedule that we played and the caliber of opponents that we played, we went to Camden and beat them. And then we had an opportunity to play in the lower state finals against a Buford team that played for the state championship versus South Point the year before. And they were coming down from 4A. So they had an excellent squad. They had a lot of guys coming back, and they had a very, very good team. But I don't want to take anything away from the guys, especially those seniors that played on that team, because that's certainly a great accomplishment what they were able to do last year. But yeah, that's one thing you got to fight against, complacency, and but it's been 2017 since we've won, and 2019 I think is the last time we played in it, and so and that's the thing. It's not winning can become you don't want to become complacent at any level, whether it be player or coach. but so we've got a lot of goals that we got to work and get to reach that final game and to reach our final goals. But I just don't want to take anything away from what's been accomplished, especially from those kids. But yeah, we just expect to be there, and a lot of times everybody expects to be there, but it's awfully hard to get there. We've probably lost more state championships. I know we have. We've lost more state championships than we've won. So, it just doesn't happen all the time. And I know some people expect that, but realistically, all you can do is work as hard as you can work and let the chips fall where they may. You got to be a real good football team, and you got to have some breaks to fall your way, and you got to be somewhat injury free in order to do that. So we're just going to do our best and try to accomplish our goals and try to take care of our guys and not get them injured in practice. And that's a big key.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that, Coach. You talk about, practice things and injuries and whatnot. The lower levels at 1, 2, and 3, you have a lot of guys going both ways a lot of times. How do you kind of structure your practice, or how tough is it to manage it where they're not getting too much work on both sides, but they're still getting enough time to learn what they need to learn? And is that a tough part of your day-to-day, really?
It's very tough because, you can't please everybody. Your assistant coaches, they want this guy. Your other assistant coach on the other side of the ball wants this guy. And we don't have enough players, up front this year. We've never really shared offensive linemen and defensive linemen very much. And this year we're just going to have to, it is what it is. We're just going to have to play some people in both ways up front also. And, so it can be very difficult managing your practice schedule and your coaches and satisfying everybody and making sure everybody gets the work that they need. But, that's what's called working together and compromising and being able to understand that it's not, this side of the ball or that side of the ball or this position, but it's a team. So, and in order for us to be the best team that we could possibly be, that's what needs to happen is we need to, you just got to share some time with some players in your practice schedule. So you try to make sure you take care of your players, give your coaches enough time to coach on what they need to be able to do on the field when they have them. And then I try to structure a practice schedule that where we're not beating each other up in practice for 2 hours. And when they are competing against one another and have to put pads on pads against one another, because you got to do that in order to be a tough, fundamental football team, you don't want it to be prolonged. So if we have a 10-minute period here where we're, pretty going at it pretty good, then maybe the next 10-minute session might be a little bit lax, or I don't want to say lax, but it might not be a physical 10-minute period. So we try to back off on them during that portion of practice. So we're not constantly going at it for a 2-hour session.
Coach, we're a little over 3 weeks away from week 1, and it's funny you mentioned going at it in practice. I remember those days. You're hitting each other all the time, and you just get tired of it in fall camp. What sort of scrimmages and jamborees do you have coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, we'll scrimmage West Florence at West Florence on the 7th, and then we're hosting a jamboree on the 11th at our place in Dillon. And I want to thank Firehouse Subs for helping sponsor us. They're one of our corporate sponsors, and Environmental Testing Systems also. So I want to thank those guys for sponsoring our jamboree. And we have Chesterfield and Lattice playing in that. We've got Lakeview and Darlington, Scotland High School and Hartsville High School, and Sherrall and Dillon. So we've got 30 state championships won by all of those schools total over the years. So our jamboree, is got some great competition.
Yeah, definitely some great programs there for sure. Coach, we were talking off air a little bit about, you guys aren't playing week 0. What kind of challenges does that add to maybe your practice schedule? Or do you like kind of having that early week off, or how do you kind of feel about that
Well,
strategic placement?
it just fell that way because of our schedule. We had the same schedule last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the home and aways flipped. And, used to, we've normally played week 0s, but it just fell where, who you could get playing on your schedule, and it fell that way. But yeah, that can be a challenge too, because we're going to have week 0 and a lot of people are going to be playing, and we're in school. Our kids start school Monday. So, anytime you're going out there to practice during the week and you're not, and everybody's playing a game and you don't have a game that week, that can be challenging. But, we just try to find the positive, anything that just gives us more time to prepare for ourselves and try to get ready for our season.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Coach, we've reached the point in the Moving the Chains interview where I got to ask about food. We're going to Dillon for a game on Friday night. Where am I stopping in the area to get something to eat?
I don't know if his place is open, but I would give you one of our former players, Quadir Kid. His place was pretty good out there south of the border. He had a ribs and wings place out there and burgers. You could get whatever you wanted. But I don't think he's got that place open now. But yeah, we used to go out there. Basically, it was really, really good food. Yeah. He does a great job. He and his family did a great job of cooking and feeding you. But and we went out there. It wouldn't have mattered if it wasn't any good. We would have went out there to support him. Like, he was such a good kid and good guy and good player for us a few years back. But Kings, everybody always comes to Kings if they're going to Dillon, but I don't know if Kings is open right now. I think they've temporarily closed here for a few days. I'm not sure how long, but I would say those places. You got a mom and pop's place. They've got some pretty good burgers and pretty good sandwiches. So
awesome. Well, Coach, for a lot of people around the state who maybe haven't had a chance to go to a game on Friday night at Dillon, I mean, you guys have a great atmosphere between the white walls over there at Dillon Memorial Stadium. I mean, how can you explain what your program means to the community and what that Friday night's like over there on the field?
Well, football is just extremely important here in this community, and I wouldn't want to coach football anywhere else that football is not important. So and our kids really feed on that crowd, and just very appreciative of the crowd that we have in our community and our fans for coming out supporting these kids. The kids and the coaches go through a whole lot of during the season, during the preseason. It's not like it used to be where I can remember way back where when practice started this past Friday, it would have been the first time that a lot of coaches and players even touched the ball for the summer. You'd have put in ISO, you'd have put in an off tackle run, you would have put in toss sweep on that first day. And now if that's the first time you're touching a ball and installing plays, I mean, you're way behind. So an awful lot of work goes into this. A lot of times, people don't even realize how much work and how much, the coaches' families sacrifice time and all that stuff. But, it truly has to be a football family. And so a lot of people don't really understand that. But, we're thankful for the people that support us. And so, yeah, we're just thankful for that.
Before we let you go, Coach, we got one final question. What are some of the goals for the 2023 version of the Dillon Wildcats?
Every year our goal obviously is to play in that last game of the season, and that's what we that's what we want. That's what we say every year, and that and the thing about it is you can't just say it, but you got to prepare that way. It's like I told the team the other day, everybody trains, everybody conditions, everybody practices, but at what standard do you do it at? And that's that will determine, you know, the type of season that you have, the type of team that you have. And, you know, we just want to make sure that our kids understand that it just doesn't happen. You know, I know we've done it an awful lot over the years. We've played in that game a lot, but it just doesn't happen because you think it's supposed to happen or because you got that D on your helmet. I mean, there's an awful lot of work that goes into it. And you got to be willing to put that work in and that preparation. And, you know, that will always be our goal, to play in that last game. And if it doesn't happen, doesn't mean that you're not successful, but that, you know, that will always be the goal.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Roller and the Wildcats program on Twitter and Facebook and social media. They do a great job posting updates from their kids and things like that. So definitely go check them out on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Movin Change, movinchange.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Change, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Drill, anything else for Coach Roller before we let him go today?
Coach, just want to thank you for, giving us time today. I know it's extremely busy this time of the year as you prepare for the season. So we want to thank you for highlighting your program, spending some time with us, letting us know what's going on down there in Dillon. We know you're going to be one of the best teams in the state, as you always are. You're going to be extremely successful. We look forward to following you. And for me, this is a bucket list. I got to make it between the White Walls this year. So I'm sure we'll come see you at some point this season.
Yeah, we'll be glad to have you. Come on. And I just want to thank you guys for what you do for supporting high school football and just promoting it. And thank y'all.
We appreciate it, Coach. Look forward to getting down to a practice or game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.